So the next thing I wanted to go over, which is, this one's going to be pretty fast, is the macro. The macro can sometimes be a little bit confusing, so I wanted to make a quick little guide for it. So it's called PLX-DAC, and there's actually a folder for it right here, which sort of contains a help file and a extra spreadsheet in case you ever, for some reason, delete all the XLSM files, but that should never be an issue. The only way to create a new macro file, in case for some reason you need to create a new macro file, is you're gonna right-click on any of the existing ones, like the signing in or signing out, and you would make a copy of them. You can do Control-Z, Control-V, or you can just do sort of whatever you need to make a copy. And you'll delete all the information on that copy and just store whatever new information you need. So besides that, when you actually open up a file, what'll happen is the macro will pop up on the screen, and it's green right here, as you can see. So that means that the macro is up and running and that it's detecting some kind of software. But sometimes when you open a file, the macro won't immediately show up. So in that case, let's just close it down and pretend it's not there. You'll go to your keyboard and you'll do the shortcut Control-Q, and it'll bring the macro back on screen. And another important thing to note with the macro is that you have to make sure it's on the right port, or else it's not going to detect the Arduino Uno. So in this case, it automatically detected that the Arduino Uno is on port 3, so it automatically put port 3 on there. So as you can see, the Arduino Uno, which is the blue cable, is on the 3rd port, and that means it's on COM 3, which usually the ports match up to the COM number that's on your program file. So because this says Arduino Uno on COM 3, that means the macro is going to be on port 3. And if you put like port 1 here and you try to scan stuff, it's not going to work because the Arduino Uno is not on that. So next up with the macro is, you're not going to be ever using any of the stuff on the right side of the column because we don't use any of these for what the project is. But when you start up the macro and press connect, it's going to start coming to the Excel file. So if you check mark reset on connect, that means it's going to delete everything on the file. So if I press connect right now, it'll delete all the names and all the cards that are assigned, or the card IDs that are assigned to the names. And I don't want to do that. So I would uncheck mark reset on connect, and I would press connect, and it would automatically start putting new names after J.R. McFarland. But sometimes an issue you might run into is you uncheck mark reset on connect, and it starts overlapping with the names on the first columns. So let's say I press connect right now, and then I try to scan a card. Instead of putting a new one down here, it'll reset this one and put a new one down, which you don't want. So if that ever happens, then you can simply open up a new workbook in the Excel sheet, and you can slide it to the front, and then you can connect it again, and then you would simply do the same process of putting card IDs down and putting names next to it. And then once you're done, you would copy those and put it to the bottom of this list. And that would function the same way as if you just added names to this list. And then once you're done with that, you would delete this new sheet, or you would file it to the right, because the order that they're in actually does matter for the macro. The macro only sends data to the workbook that's on the far left of the file. So you need to make sure that the workbook on the far left is the one that you want to manipulate.